The High School Sports Beat is brought to you by Alfred State College, where within 6 months of graduating, an astonishing 99% are working or furthering their studies. At Alfred State, they stress project-based learning, where students work on real-world problems and learn how to think, not what to think. Visit alfredstate.edu.
Sports. It's who we are. It's what we do. It's how we roll. It's wins and losses, highs and lows. It's effort, respect, and dedication. The High School Sports Beat. Sports. It's who we are.
Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us on the High School Sports Beat, brought to you by Alfred State College. I'm Dave Yates. We begin our look at Section 5 sports this week with our opening story, brought to you by Sticky Lips Barbecue and Juke Joint. Sticky Lips Barbecue Juke Joint, New York State's largest barbecue restaurant right here in Rochester. See our menu and live music calendar at StickyLipsBBQ.com. Sticky Lips BBQ, Jefferson Road in Henrietta. Greg Diakomihalis became the first Section 5 wrestler to win 5 state titles last weekend. This week, we're taking a look back at Greg's first appearance on the Sports Beat during his 8th grade season, then teammates with his older brother Yanni. From February 2016, here's Bill Pucko.
The county championships offer the best local competition we'll see until state qualifiers, since there are no class distinctions like you'll find at sectionals. At 99 pounds, a new champion with a familiar name, Diakomihalis. This is Greg, an 18-0 8th grader who found himself in an unusual finals match against Hilton teammate and fellow 8th grader Ryan Burgos, who was 18-2. Greg is the younger brother of Yanni, the Hilton junior and world champion who wrestled later at 138 pounds.
It's awesome. It gives me something to be excited for, something to be more excited for than normal. I don't know. It's really exciting to have him, and he's gonna have a good year, and he might make states, good place. He can do really well. So I'm excited to have him around.
Greg Diakomihalis won a 3rd period technical fall to remain unbeaten. For 5 years, or since Yanni, now a 138-pound junior at Hilton, was a 99-pound 7th grader, that name stood for high school wrestling excellence. It still does. Only now there are 2.
It's been pretty cool because for the last few years I've been sitting on the sidelines watching coaching because I've been too young or too small. And it's kind of exciting now that we're both in the same team together.
Greg Diakomihalis is the sectional and super sectional champion at 99 pounds. As a 7th grader on the team a year ago, Greg couldn't get a match. He couldn't make the 91-pound minimum weight.
That was a little disappointing, but I kind of saw it coming. I kind of knew ahead of time I was going to be too small. I actually this year thought I was going to be a little small too, but I kind of grew into it.
And like his older brother, grew into a champion. Quickly.
Semifinal, Cody Anders, Brockport, CJ Lee, Webster Thomas. You're on deck on map 3. On deck on map 4, Division 1, 106 pound.
He wrestles a totally different style than Yanni. Yanni just goes from the first whistle to the last whistle, where Greg is sort of more under control, and if he's winning 3-1, 4-2, he's not looking to score points. He sort of manages the match a little bit more, where Yanni wants to score as many points as possible, which I think Greg, that might come in time when he gets a little bit older. He's only in 8th grade right now, so the sky's the limit.
Yanni Diakomihalis, meanwhile, just keeps on rolling. Ranked number 1 in the country at 138 pounds, he's a 3-time state champion and hasn't lost a match since Super Sectionals 4 years ago as a 7th grader.
Stay right in there.
I try to always look to what I can improve on. I mean, you're always happy when things go your way, but at the same time you want to be critical and look at what you don't do well and try and improve on that stuff. So that's a big part of how I train.
It's like having another coach bounce things off each other, and he helps other kids out just as much as he's trying to help himself out.
And if he needs it, which he really doesn't, having brother Greg on the team with him has been reinvigorating.
Keep working, Tyree. Keep working out there.
It gives me something exciting to think about because, he's in that state title race, but there's a bunch of other kids who are in that state title competition too. So it's good, I don't have to worry, not that I don't worry about myself, but I have something else I can think about other than myself, and it's exciting to have him in all these tight matches, and he's wrestling the best kids in the state, and he's doing well. So it's exciting to have him. It's good energy for the team.
Yanni Diakomihalis was a 4-time state champ with Hilton and a 2-time NCAA champ at Cornell, where younger brother Greg will also be attending next fall. Well, coming up next, Matt Trabold joins us for the Dunkin High School Notebook. We'll have that and more when the High School Sports Beat, brought to you by Alfred State College, returns.
When Girl Scout ingenuity meets Dunkin' coffee, you get a cup of can-do. Girl Scout cookie-inspired flavors are at Dunkin'. Try Thin Mints and Coconut Caramel today and get a medium latte or cappuccino for $2 from 2 to 6 p.m. America runs on Dunkin'.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the High School Sports Beat, brought to you by Alfred State College. I'm Dave Yates. It is time now for the High School Notebook, brought to you by Dunkin'. America runs on Dunkin'. And if it's time for the notebook, it is time for Matt Trabold. Matt, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me on.
Matt, great time of the year. We're talking sectional basketball, and one of the favorites getting a scare from one of the lower seeds.
These boys basketball sectionals have already had their share of upsets, big or otherwise, kind of across the board, especially in those first few classifications, those biggest few classifications. You're talking about in A2, the number 2 seed North Star falling to a much lower seed in Northeast Douglas. And then in terms of lower seeds, in Class AA, the 10 seed Gates Chili picking up a win as well. This game, Churchville and Irondequoit, was a 1-8 matchup in A1. What you saw at the very end of the regular season, these two teams actually playing a couple games in a row against each other, especially from the Irondequoit perspective, because final game of the regular season, Churchville lost by 24 points to Irondequoit. And this game in sectional seemed like it was going much of the same way, 14-point lead for the Eagles at halftime, but storming all the way back were the Saints in that second half. One of the longtime volleyball stars, actually, for Churchville, and Griffin Stella was using those jumping abilities, those jumping skills from the volleyball game, 2 block shots, and on the other end, score on hoop and harms. They come all the way back with 2 minutes to go, I think it was. They tie the game up 62-62, but unfortunately, kind of an anticlimactic ending to that one. A costly late turnover for the Saints. Irondequoit comes away with a 2-point win.
We're talking postseason in the high school and postseason in the college, too. That means time for some former Section 5 standouts to show their stuff.
Yeah, the conference tournament part of college hoops season. I love college hoops. It's underway right now. And what you're seeing is a couple teams in the mid-major ranks with Section 5 products in Siena out of the MAAC, and then America East with Vermont. So these teams with Section 5 products atop of their conferences and a very important, obviously, part of the season. Former Athena Trojan and Anthony Lamb scored 20 points with 11 rebounds recently against UMass Lowell, and Vermont wins the America East regular season crown yet again. And really, you can look at it's a very impressive feat because all 4 years that Lamb has been a Catamount, they have won that regular season title. And I think the senior campaign at times, especially right in the middle of it, was not maybe as good as his junior campaign, but you still have to look. He went out against a ranked Virginia team, scored 30 points with 7 3-balls, and then kind of switching over the MAAC with former Aquinas star Jalen Pickett. Siena Saints, they came in this season, they had a kid, another young star kind of like Pickett and Sloan Seymour. He transferred away right before the season started. So preseason poll, they're dead middle in that conference, 6 out of 11 teams, but they go in the final week of the regular season atop the conference standings. Very impressive to kind of go above and beyond the expectations. And as a sophomore, yet again, he's being, Jalen Pickett that is, a smooth operator. Last year as a freshman was top 40 in the nation in assist turnover ratio, which really shows somebody really playing above what it shows next to their name on the roster, their year, much more than underclassmen in terms of the way he plays and how composed he is. And then in that statistic, assist turnover ratio this year, even better, number 8 nationally.
Wow. Great stuff. Hey, March Madness, high school, college, whatever, it doesn't matter. Still a great time of year. Well, thanks, Matt. Thanks for joining us once again. And we are back with more of the High School Sports Beat brought to you by Alfred State College right after this. Coming up next, we've got the Making the Grade nominee with Kyle O'Gara, and later, a deep dive into analytics helped the Schroeder girls double their win total. We'll have the Warriors story when the High School Sports Beat brought to you by Alfred State College continues.
Welcome back, and thank you for watching the High School Sports Beat, brought to you by Alfred State College. Hit the ground running at alfredstate.edu. I'm Kyle O'Gara.
Making the grade this week is Eastridge senior Gerald Peretta. Gerald is a member of the varsity swim team at Eastridge and holds the school record for the 200-meter individual and 100-meter freestyle. In addition to breaking records, Gerald is also a Section 5 champion in the 500-meter freestyle and made the first team All-County last season. In the classroom, Gerald has a 95% average and is a member of the National Honor Society. This week, Gerald Peretta is Making the Grade.
If you have a student in mind for our Making the Grade segment, we want your nominations. Send them into mtg@rocksportsnow.com. And now here's Dave with the McArdle Section 5 Spotlight.
Well, thanks, Kyle. Here are some of the athletes, teams, and coaches making news in this week's Section 5 Spotlight, brought to you by McArdles in Fairport. Come home to McArdles. State champions were crowned in wrestling, including a 4-time champ at HFL's Anthony Noto, the D2 champ at 126 pounds, and ends his HFL career with 174 wins and just 6 losses. Cooper Krotman of Penfield won his first state title. Cooper, a junior, went undefeated this year, going 45-0. Leroy's Andrew Englerth finished third at 162 pounds in D2 and ends his career as the Oatkin Knights' all-time winningest wrestler with 206 victories, including a 51-1 record this season. Coming up next, the modern approach to basketball helps the Webster Schroeder girls improve dramatically this year. We'll have that story when the High School Sports Beat, brought to you by Alfred State College, returns.
Came now to Eichel. He floated one. Score!
Welcome back, and thanks once again for joining us on the High School Sports Beat, brought to you by Alfred State College. I'm Dave Yates. The Webster Schroeder girls basketball team won just 6 games last season. An off-season of planning, analysis, and reading prepared them to make a run this year when they doubled their win total. Here's Paul Gotham with the Warriors way.
Webster Schroeder girls basketball team enjoyed a turnaround season in which the Lady Warriors doubled their wins from a year ago. The success on the hardwood during the winter months started last summer off the court.
We did a lot of work in the off-season, spending time with the captains, going to Starbucks, working through leadership books, things like that. And our kids were totally bought in the off-season, which in the spring we only had, I think, 3 kids at an open gym. And then this fall we were getting 25, 30 kids at every open gym. So the buy-in has really improved. So we thought that the wins would come based on the buy-in of the kids, and we've seen the payoff.
That was super helpful for me because something that was huge that I wanted to improve on coming into my junior year was my mind. I wanted to master the mind. That's what we called it. And I think all of us on the team have a lot of physical abilities for basketball. We have a lot of talent. But the thing that kills us the most sometimes is what we're thinking about and overthinking, underthinking, and getting upset with ourselves, getting upset with our teammates. Like those kind of things were the make or break when we were going into sectionals last year, and that's why we didn't get too far. If you can stay focused and you can stay mentally strong more than the other team, that can do a lot more for you than I think physically, and that's what we noticed, and that's what we focused on for a long time going into this season.
It was actually a really good experience. We've never really had a coach around this program that's focused so much on mental rather than basketball, so it's been really exciting to focus on that, and I think that's what has kept us in games a lot this year, because you can only do so much with talent basketball-wise, but with mental really keeps you in things.
The team read books like Raise Your Game by Alan Stein Jr. and applied understandings from those pieces of literature to their efforts on the court.
That's a big part of our growth that we wanted to achieve, because sports are really a mental game. The physical part is important, but the mental part is 90% of the game, because if you're not in it, you're gonna lose. So we did a lot of work. We read chapters out of mindset books. That's just one of our biggest keys. That's usually what we talk about before the game. We started it in the summer with the captains, but then we expanded it to our whole team because we thought it would be an important lesson for everybody. It's about working together. We chose some focus points, our team goals: accountability, persistence, perseverance, optimism.
Mike Grosta also spent time breaking down film to help his players identify a good shot.
We actually use Huddle, which is a great tool for us, and we studied analytics all summer. So we actually told the kids over the summer, which was not popular necessarily at first with some kids, they have shots that they're allowed to take and shots that they're not allowed to take, because we ran all the numbers and we looked at what makes the most sense. So that's been huge with us to be able to keep games close or come back, is that we take the most efficient shots that we can all the time, and our kids bought in right away. They didn't hesitate. We have very, very few bad shots.
I think everyone had a different feeling about it when we started talking about it, but for me, a lot of the stats that I look at for myself, turnovers wise, being the point guard and then assists, they're very cut to the chase. So last year I wasn't a huge shooter, I definitely took shots and stuff like that, but it was more things you can look at stats for that stuff. A lot of us took shots off the dribble, and that was not a huge stat that helped us. We were better off a pass, and it was a lot to adjust to, because we would start practicing and we don't want to overthink all the stats, but at times we were like, is this the best shot we could be taking? So it was a big adjustment for all of us to make, but we've definitely worked on it, and we take our best shots and we kind of know what shots are our best shots now.
I personally can drive, but I've also been working on my three-point shot to expand my game. But I think each of us having a different role really helps us, so that we know our shot selection and we give ourselves the best opportunities to score.
We decided over the summer that we would only shoot layups and three-point shooters, which and I am not one of those really. I shoot mid-range a lot, so I was actually the only one granted permission to shoot mid-range, so it's really changed the perspective on our team.
6-win team a year ago, Schroeder won 5 straight in January.
During that streak especially, but in general this whole season, we have learned a lot. Last year was the first year playing with a bunch of new girls. Anya, Caitlin, and I were the 3 returning last year, and everything was new. So it was a huge adjustment for all of us to start learning each other at the same time trying to figure out what's best for us personally in the game of basketball. And we couldn't blend more last year. And then this year we started to realize not only do we know how we play, but we know how our teammates play. So we can find where does Anya fit best, or where does Jules. Obviously we're figuring out who does the best at what spot, even left or right side of the floor. And now that we're knowing what our aspects of the game are, and now knowing, on top of that, knowing our teammates, we're just blending and we're forming, and it's coming together in a way. And during that win streak, we just felt so connected as a team, on the court, off the court. And I think knowing your teammates' specialties for the game helps everything, because obviously you can't do everything on your own.
Schroeder's season ended with a loss to reigning sectional champ Bishop Kearney in the AA quarterfinals. The experience has Grasta's squad ready for more next season.
For me, it is certainly a roller coaster, but that's what makes it worth it. As my AD says, no rain, no rainbow. So we always, there's going to be ups and downs, but we enjoy them both.
From Webster Schroeder High School, this is Paul Gotham with the High School Sports Beat, brought to you by Alfred State College.
Here we go. Warriors on 3. 1, 2, 3. Warriors!
Well, we'd like to thank our sponsors, especially Alfred State College, for making the Sports Beat possible. We'd also like to thank the athletes, teams, and coaches in Section 5. And thanks to you for watching. We'll see you back here next week.